There is something awfully wrong with that clip, right? People swear on their lives that Mickey Mouse, arguably the most recognizable cartoon character in the world since time immemorial, has been wearing suspenders. Even on this recent rendition of Mickey Mouse, you would see that he does not wear suspenders. So, what is going on here? Why do we and the rest of the world think that Mickey Mouse wears suspenders? It was just a regular Sunday morning. I was sipping my coffee, scrolling through social media, when I stumbled upon a post that made me scratch my head. It was about the Berenstain Bears. Or is it the Berenstain Bears? The beloved children's book characters. Yes, people actually argue about this. Is this a glitch in the Matrix? Or is it something else? Another famous head-scratcher is Looney Tunes. It obviously does make better sense as nowadays the company is well known for its short-form tunes, but its history started out with supplying phonographic records to other companies. So, tunes really makes sense. And who could ever forget when Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father"? It was actually, "No, I am your father." Also, a famous line by the very popular Gandalf the Grey while the band of heroes was being chased by the Balrog. "Fly, you fools." These, and many like them, are phenomena called the Mandela Effect. It was coined by Fiona Broome after she discovered that she, along with many others, incorrectly remembered Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s, when he actually passed away in 2013. Now, if you were like me, you'd probably had your mind blown by the idea that there are alternate realities living right inside our heads. So, I decided to investigate further. A friend texted me about a strange phenomenon happening at a local thrift store. People were finding items from their childhoods, things they distinctly remember owning. So I grabbed my camera and set off on a quest to uncover the mystery. The air was buzzing with excitement, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something unusual was about to happen. Once I got to the thrift store, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia. I'm talking old toys, retro games, and yes, even VHS tapes. But as I rummaged through the shelves, I found something unbelievable, an old edition of the Berenstain Bears. This was my childhood resurrection, but as I opened it, I couldn't shake the feeling. Was I in an alternate universe? I asked a few fellow shoppers about their memories. They were adamant. Some swore that they recalled Berenstain and other details that utterly blew my mind. As we exchanged our differing memories, the store felt like a battleground of realities. I couldn't help but notice the eerie looks we exchanged. It was like we were all living in parallel universes. There's this thing called the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. This theory suggests that every possible outcome of a decision creates a new universe where that outcome occurs. Imagine waking up, pouring tea, and then in another reality, deciding to make a risky trade on the stock market, and in yet another, you decide to just go out of the house and have a long drive. Each reality is equally real as the one we perceive. But let's keep it real. We can't actually experience those other worlds, right? This leads us to some philosophical questions. If every possible outcome happens somewhere, does that imply free will? Or is everything predestined within these branching realities? Philosophers have pondered the nature of reality for centuries, and now, with quantum mechanics, we are given a new lens through which to view existence. To explain this, Erwin Schrödinger developed a formula where a cat, a flask of poison, and a radioactive source is placed in a sealed box. If the Geiger counter detects radioactivity, the flask shatters, releasing the poison, which kills the cat. The quantum mechanical paradox, according to the many worlds interpretation, the cat is both alive and dead, even before the box is opened. But the alive and dead cats are in different branches of the multiverse, both which are equally real, but which do not interact with each other. So in which universe are we in? The one where the cat is alive, or the one where the cat is dead? Or could we be in both at the same time? As far as science is concerned, scientists consider some aspects of the many worlds interpretation as unscientific because the multiple parallel universes are non-communicating, in the sense that no information can be passed between them. Other scientists also mention that the many worlds interpretation would mean a stupendous number of parallel worlds, which are only there because physicists could not decide which of them is real. So if multiverses crossing each other is not a possibility, then how else can we explain me and many others remembering the Berenstain Bears being the Berenstain Bears? Pop culture has been obsessed with time travel for years. From Back to the Future to Doctor Who, we've been fed a steady diet of fictional realities. But how much of that fiction could actually be a hint at some hidden truths? Okay, this is a wild idea, but hear me out first. Could someone from the future gone back in time and changed things that have already transpired or things that we already have a memory of? So, what exactly do scientists say? Well, the concept of time travel begins with Albert Einstein's groundbreaking theory of relativity. According to this theory, time is not a constant and it can actually be affected by speed and gravity. Imagine this. If you could travel at the speed of light, 186,282 miles per second, time would pass more slowly for you compared to someone who stayed on Earth. This phenomenon is called time dilation, and astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience it every day. You see, for every 6 months they spend up there, they actually age a tiny fraction of a second less than we do down here. And of course, there are the black holes that have gravitational pulls so strong that they warp time itself. Some scientists theorize that if we could find a way to navigate near a black hole, we might be able to bend time and come back to Earth in the past or the future. And then there's the idea of wormholes, hypothetical passages through space-time that could create shortcuts between vastly different points in time and space. If we could figure out how to create or stabilize a wormhole, we might just have our ticket for a time-traveling adventure. But there's a big if here. Despite the theories, practical time travel is still firmly in the realm of science fiction. We don't have the technology yet, and possibly won't for a very long time. Additionally, the energy requirements to create or maintain a stable wormhole would be astronomical, likely beyond anything we can muster right now. And then there is the grandfather paradox associated with time travel. What happens if you travel back in time and accidentally prevent your grandparents from meeting? Would you cease to exist? Or throw an idea to Stan and Jan Berenstain in 1961 that their book's characters would be more interesting if they were called Berenstain Bears instead. But then that would make them the Berenstain Bears from that moment on, until today, right? At its core, the simulation hypothesis suggests that what we perceive as reality is actually a sophisticated digital construct, much like a highly advanced video game. The concept was notably popularized by philosopher Nick Bostrom. He argued that if future civilizations have the capability to create realistic simulations of their ancestors, then it's statistically more likely that we're living in one of those simulations instead of the original reality. Even tech moguls like Elon Musk and theories from quantum physics echo this idea. Musk has famously said, "There's a 1 in a billion chance we're in base reality." I mean, that's both terrifying and fascinating. But what about the evidence? There are some fascinating phenomena that seem to support this simulation idea. Quantum mechanics, for example, where particles behave in strange ways that seem to defy the laws of classical physics. The double-slit experiment was performed by scientists where you have a barrier with 2 narrow slits in it, and a screen behind it where you can observe what comes through the slits. When the scientists shot particles, such as electrons or photons, at this barrier, something incredible happens. When they cover one of the slits and fire particles towards the barrier, they behave like little marbles, traveling through the single slit and creating a single impact point on the screen. But here is where it gets interesting. When we open both slits, instead of just 2 lines on the screen, we see an interference pattern, a series of light and dark bands. It's as if the particles are behaving as waves, overlapping and interfering with one another. Now hold on, it gets even crazier. When we attempt to observe which slit the particle goes through by placing a detector near the slits, the particles suddenly revert to behaving like marbles. Instead of displaying that beautiful wave-like interference pattern, they make 2 distinct impacts corresponding only to the open slits. It's as if the simple act of observation changes the behavior of the particles. This definitely raises profound questions about the very nature of reality. So this makes anyone ask the question, are there glitches in the simulation? And if so, is someone somewhere out there correcting those glitches? Or consider déjà vu. Ever had that uncanny feeling you've experienced something before? Some believe it's a sign of a reboot or a correction in the simulation. Others think it might be a glitch in the matrix, literally. So this makes me wonder, years ago when I was a kid reading my copy of the Berenstain Bears book, it may have still been the Berenstain Bears after all. But when time passed by, and the great observer realized it was a glitch, it then decided to correct it. Or could it have been a time traveler who went back in time and helped change the title? Or maybe even a parallel universe where it is Berenstain Bears, instead of what we have in our version of the universe that just at some point bled into ours. No one really knows. I would still wonder, but at some point would digress, that it may have always been the Berenstain Bears after all. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to Why on YouTube for more deep dives into the world's most intriguing mysteries and myths. And remember, keep asking why.